Welcome to the Rescheck blog. Today on the Rescheck blog and podcast, we are going to give you some Rescheck tips. What you want to do is scroll down to the Rescheck blog at the middle of Rescheck info, and you will see 3 Rescheck tips. If you will click on that, then I will read the blog post to you. Today on the Rescheck blog, we want to help DIY and home Rescheck creators with some easy tips to make their next Rescheck residential energy audit easier, faster, and more efficient than ever. Learning a new software like Rescheck Desktop or Rescheck Web can always present difficulties as you learn the intricacies of a new interface. We want to soften the blow so you can take from our extensive Rescheck knowledge stores and use it to better your own project. The first tip we can give you when starting a new Rescheck is to use a full-size set of plans. Having a set of paper plans in front of you to complete your Rescheck will allow you to obtain every detail you might need from the plan. PDF plans are fantastic, but there's no substitute for a hard copy of blueprints for each Rescheck that you create. You can pull important information like job site address, square footage, ceiling, walls, windows, doors, and foundation directly from the plans and transfer them directly into Rescheck Web and Rescheck Desktop. Please consider using tip number 1 to help you create your do-it-yourself Rescheck. Second tip that Rescheck.info has is to give yourself plenty of time. Generally takes 10 to 12 hours to fully do your first Rescheck in either Rescheck Desktop or Rescheck Web softwares. There are many buttons and inputs to learn, and then you must be able to generate the full report at the end of the project. Frustration can set in if you do not give yourself enough time, and a rushed feeling will make you less productive and more prone to errors. Make sure to give yourself the time needed to deal with this important step of your new construction, addition, or alteration. Third tip we can give you for creating Reschecks goes back to when you're designing your plans. You should make sure to include 2 crucial items on every plan as a minimum. Square footage and job site address should be on all construction plans. If your designer or architect did not include these items on your plans, ask them to put them on there now. It will make your Rescheck much easier from the very start. We live in a global world, and just having 146 Smith Street on a set of plans could give you any of 5,000 different locations across the globe. Both Rescheck Web and Rescheck Desktop work with local climate data. Make sure your full address is on your plans and their cover page at a very minimum. Square footage is important because this is the basis for contractors and subcontractors will give you estimates. It will also dictate your permit costs, tax basis for your finished structure, and finally, what values will be indicated on your Rescheck. Without proper square footage indicated on the plans, it will be up to each person involved with the project to estimate them. In the end, you might end up with 10 to 15 different square footage estimates instead of one based on the square footage that was listed on your plans. We hope these seldom heard Rescheck tips will help you create a better Rescheck. We appreciate you reading the Rescheck blog and using our Rescheck information to help you complete your Rescheck report. Thanks for reading the Rescheck blog and listening to the Rescheck podcast. If you're ready to get started, just go to the upper right hand side of that screen. Click Buy Now. Then choose the $79 Rescheck, and you're ready to go. Thanks again for listening. Hope to hear you back here. In the meantime, visit www.rescheck.info for all your Reschecking needs.